Ladies and gentlemen, big hairy news. Big hairy news.
Hey, kia ora koutou e te whānau. Welcome back to another episode of Big Hairy News. Kia ora, Chewy.
Kia ora, Pat.
Doing
How
well,
we
sir? Doing well? Yeah, I'm doing all right. How about you?
Yeah, I was sitting here waiting for you to turn up. Usually it's me that's right at the last buzzer, but tonight it was you, and I'm just listening to the calming ASMR of rain on my window.
Yeah, it's been a funny old time,
very
eh? Like
chill.
weekend in Dunedin, it was lovely and fine and warm, 22 degrees days, and I turned the heat pumps off and went, I'm sure they'll have to come back home at some stage. And then yesterday it just dropped dramatically and it's cold again now. And I'm like, I should have just left. I tell you what, I discovered something. Something the other day. We had a debate in our house going on about leaving windows open and how the temperature goes down. And I'm always like, we've got a thermometer in the room. You can see the temperature doesn't drop that much with the windows going down, being open. But there's a reason for it. When you are heating your house, you get thermal loading into all your furnishings. So it's not just the air that's being heated, it's the walls, it's the couches, it's everything, and that all stores heat. So one of the reasons you don't lose all your heat when you open the window is because a whole bunch of the heat is stored in your carpets and your walls, everything. And I figured because I turned the heat pumps off for a couple of days, then there would have been no thermal storage left of heating. So today's felt chilly and cooler. That's my theory, at least, and I'm sticking with it.
Well, here's my weather-related airing of grievances. Obviously, I got those solar panels on, right? And now I'm in this awkward period where they're on. They're on the roof. Everything's all connected up, and I'm just waiting for the lines company to give me permission to give them power. So when it was all gloriously sunny on Friday and Saturday night, I'm just looking up at the sun, going, "No, stop! It's all being wasted. You're too early. Come back in a week." And it got me thinking, as I look around my neighborhood at all of these other roofs with no solar on them, and just going, how much generation potential is wasted in this country with naked roofs. And when the government is going, oh, look, we can't have all of these EVs, or the grid can't handle it. We don't have enough generation for the future. And we're talking about big mega projects like big wind farms or big hydro dams, or keeping a coal power station going, or getting a gas power station going. How much of it would be solved if we just prioritize doing solar panels? I'm sure somebody's done the numbers. It must be massive.
Yeah, but I wonder, like the numbers of, would it be a government building a power station, or would they want to do a public-private? There'd be an amount that the government would put into a new power station. What could that do for just making that an applicable grant for people to get solar panels? Spend the same amount. Would that give them a better return? What would happen?
Because at the moment, it's the banks doing all the work. The banks that have acknowledged that that's a good thing. And so they're doing 0, 1, 2, 3% loans for people to do solar and make their homes more efficient. The fucking banks are doing a better job than our own government.
Yeah, well,
nothing's mandated. Nothing, you put up a new house. There's no requirement for you to do solar panels. I think that's just crazy.
Yeah, I think we've had this conversation before. If I was building,
and we will continue to have it.
I'd sink at least one, if not two, tanks into the ground. Why wouldn't you? For when you're building, just to have them there as a backup. Things go wrong and there's a drought, and you want to clean your car still. Reservoir of water on site would be quite a good thing. Same for solar panels. Do you know, are those Tesla the tiles, the solar tiles? Do they exist in New Zealand?
No. No. They are apparently exist in California, but nowhere else. It's another one of Elon's fucking promises. But I'm glad that you are thinking of prepping for the upcoming water war. I think that'll be really important.
People reckon that the next world war could be over water. I've heard that before as a theory.
I could believe it.
I don't know if it's true. We've got plenty spare down here in Otago at the moment. You can come help yourselves. Just come on down.
Just fucking comes out of the sky, mate. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. It's like what? It's literally falling from heaven. So big announcement. See what happens when I turn up right on the time. I haven't set all my tabs up yet, Chewy. Big announcement that many people have already seen because I think I put it on Twitter and Blue Sky as well. But we've got our final numbers for our fundraising for MAPS, Medical Aid for Palestinians. 83 T-shirts and 25 hoodies and a $500 donation from a mystery supporter has given us $1,420 donated to MAPS.
Solid.
So give yourselves a round of applause. That's a round of applause. That's what that is. And I think I messed up my email address, so I took a little screenshot of there you go. There's it going out, just to make sure people that's not going towards the Christmas party. It's definitely gone to them. So brilliant, guys. Well done. It was a lot of work on our end. In fact, as I look out on the standing table in the lounge out there, there are still probably 20 T-shirts to go. I put a whole bunch of hoodies into the post today. So other than one, which I believe was going to the West Coast, every other hoodie has been sent today, which means you'll either get it tomorrow or Wednesday or maybe Thursday at the latest. My plan is to get all the T-shirts done by tomorrow. So that means a day later. Means you'll probably get them on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday. And that's it, Chewy. We're done for fundraising for this time around. Now it's the countdown to Christmas. I believe I saw at the post shop today that the cutoff for Christmas receiving things on just normal post. It's weird these days because it's sort of normal post, but it's not stamps. It's still like courier stickers that attract that sort of thing. And it's about the middle of December is the last day for that. So, we'll give ourselves a few weeks, and then this time next week we might even be showing you some new enamel pins on the show live for the first time. Maybe. I would think definitely by next week, and then hopefully by the mid to end of November, we've got the coffee cups. So there you go. Busy. What did I want to tell you, Chewy? I wanted to tell you that we've done maps. A little bit of housekeeping. If you're someone who's been sending an email to mail@bhn.nz anytime recently, or you try to connect us through the website, there's some strange stuff happening with our spam filter on our Gmail. I just went into it today, and I noticed a whole bunch of emails that we haven't responded to, which are not spam. I saw a Recall BHN t-shirt, the Bird Record Fair. And I'm just going to apologise blanket if anyone hasn't heard back from us. There's a chance that your email may have gone into the spam, and I've just noticed that now. So tomorrow I'll be going through the spam and seeing about having to go not spam on a whole bunch of emails. So I just want to let you guys know about that. Other than that, Chewy, my big story from the weekend was, I don't know if you know this, but I've had excruciating pain in my left foot for a couple of months now. Went to the doctor and he said might be plantar fasciitis, which I've had once before, but it was very localized. And so I finally went to a podiatrist on Friday, and she looked at my foot and she went, you've got a corn. And I'm like, oh, okay, fine. She got out a razor blade and she started cutting it down. Shum, shum, shum. Oh, you've got a bigger corn under this one. Cutting it down. Like shum, 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 shum.
Gross.
And apparently I learned something, that corns are like an ice cream cone, like that. And the top of the ice cream cone is the bit that shows, and the bottom of the ice cream cone is where the stone is. It's just all skin, but it's stone. And she pulled out of my foot 2 rice, maybe think about a size piece, a size of rice, a grain
Why
the
did it
size
have
of rice.
to? We had two
Maybe-
different types of food in the
maybe
story.
two,
This is
maybe two
unpleasant.
or three ice cream cone rice, and that's what they were. There was like two little stones the size of a grain of rice inside my foot, and she took them out, and all the pain is gone, all of it. I'm like, done. I was amazed. It's like a foot. I actually said to the podiatrist, so what you're saying is it's kind of like an oyster, how it gets wrapping this thing up and it makes a pearl. Yep. So there you go. My experience with the podiatrist on Friday, it sounds like a very old person place to go, doesn't it, the podiatrist, was getting two corns removed. And it's the best thing
good
I've
Lord.
ever done. Now, let me tell you about the boil on my asshole. No, I'm just kidding. I won't do that. Tonight.
This is why I didn't tell any stories about my kidney stones. Anyway, politics still happening. Let's do that. Let's do a politics. Local body stuff. Did you vote?
Yeah,
Did you
yeah,
vote?
of course. Yeah, I did.
I voted right at the last fucking minute.
I've seen, me too. Saturday morning, I dropped it off at the supermarket. I see, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, I apologise, maybe you know this better than me, Chewy, that there was like 16 councils that kept their Māori wards and 25 who rejected it. Have I got those numbers right? Do you know?
You don't know exactly, but you've got the vibe right. I saw a very interesting post on Blue Sky that just said, okay, so here's the electorates that voted to get rid of Māori wards, and here is a map roughly showing the land confiscations from the land wars. Maybe there's something in this. Yeah, look, really disappointing. That and I think, you know, there's been a few rumblings. Obviously there was those booklets that was distributed which didn't even bother listing the people running in Māori wards. There has been further criticism of why are our local body elections run by a private company that doesn't seem to be able to find its ass with both hands at the same time. Why isn't it under the Electoral Commission? You know, and other things I've seen around it is just the continuing trend of very low turnout.
31%.
Auckland had 31% is the average. Thankfully, Dunedin got over that. I saw we got to, I think it's about 43 or 45% turnout. But still, when people are going, you know, oh, we got a majority. Did you though? You got a majority of people that turned out to vote. We need higher turnouts. And I think there's a bigger discussion there of what we are doing around local body is not working. Yeah. It's not firing with people. What's the barrier? Do people not care? Are there too many people running? Is it just that local body candidates just seem to be quite happy to lie to us with absolutely no consequence? Like I saw a guy that's been elected to the Dunedin Council still banging his drum that he is somehow going to get council funding for early childhood and buses, despite local council having no say in that at all, and continuing to go, I've got a secret recipe for lower rates rises or no rates rises, but I won't tell you. And it's like, do you know how councils work, my dude? Like, it's not a secret.
I wonder if his secret recipe has to do with a crumbling infrastructure. I wonder if that's a part of the equation.
Yeah. I would say that that's the only secret solution, is that he wants to sell council assets. Wayne Brown absolutely crushed it in Auckland. And, like, I feel weird saying this. Have we gone from the Wayne Brown that was there for the Auckland floods to a Wayne Brown that's actually effective in Auckland?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Hard to say. Andrew Little absolutely crushed it in Wellington.
Tory missed out altogether.
Yep. Friend of the show, Nandor Tanjosh,
Yep.
is a mayor now.
Can I
So
say,
we need to touch base with him again.
2 mayors ago in Dunedin, Aaron Hawkins, I remember when that's 2 elections ago, not this weekend, but the 3 years before. I remember interviewing him, and I have an immense amount more respect for him and his stand now after what's happened this weekend. Because when I said to him, "You're only trying it for me, you're not going for council," he goes, "Oh, no, it would be really, if I don't win the mayoralty, it would be just really strange for the new mayor to have the old mayor sitting in the chamber kind of speaking against him." So, of course, Jules Radich loses around this time. But guess what? He's a councillor with a new mayor in Dunedin, Sophie Barker. So I saw that and I thought, oh, Aaron, I do respect Aaron anyway, but it's like, it was just highlighted that he is a good man and probably a loss to Dunedin politics, but 100%. Also that decision he made is an honourable one that, funnily enough, the following mayor did not make. Not an honourable one. No honour. None. Zero honourable. Honourable zero. Done.
You got stuck in a loop there. But we will talk a little bit about Dunedin. On the final counts, it's interesting. We had a bunch of right-wing incumbents thrown out to be replaced by other newer right-wingers.
Shinier.
We had a local businessman that spent a hell of a lot of money, which we'll find out in 53 days when the returns come in about how much he actually spent, but he spent a lot to not win mayor. He is on council. As you said, the old mayor is still on council.
It's like the definition of an old boys network, the old mayor being a councillor this time around.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think what Aaron said about that is correct. We still have our local nutter, Lee Vandervis, rejected for mayor for his 8th time. He spent 24 years trying to get the mayoralty and getting second or third the entire time. Like, it's really interesting. People vote for him for number 1 or dead fucking last or not at all. He doesn't pick up those middle votes. I think it's really interesting, and I just wish he'd learned the lesson.
It's it's a dictionary definition of always the bridesmaid. Hey, should be in the dictionary for that.
Absolutely. And we may have a councillor that is further to the right of Lee Vandervis in Lund, who is a local construction business owner, Pentecostal Christian, and he funded the Dunedin location for Julian Batchelor's Stopco governance tour. So that's fun. The other things that I noticed that were interested, Gore's mayor, who has had a really rough term of his council trying to throw him out, and
got back in?
People doing dirty politics over his sexual orientation or his relationship with various people. The population of Gore have seen right through it and have re-elected him by quite a large margin. And then Invercargill. So Nobby Clark decided not to stand. His brother went for it under the name Andrew Clark, which is apparently not his name.
Right.
He has another name which he used to run for mayor in the Tasman district.
Oh, you allowed to do that?
Don't know. Who knows? So when Nobby was asked whether he endorsed his brother to run for the mayor, he goes, "Absolutely not. I do not endorse him for that." For that. I'm like, wow. Oh, that's going to be an awkward family Christmas, isn't it?
Yes, 79 days or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
I'm perplexed by a message. I'm perplexed by a message in the thing. Sam's telling me to tell the parking ticket story. I have no idea what the parking ticket story is, unless I fell on my head and there's something really obvious. So,
I got a parking ticket for parking outside my own house. That was fun.
Were you on the driveway and blocking the footpath?
No, putting 2 wheels up on the curb. Stupid for $70. Bastards. What was the other thing I saw? ACT running, what was it, 43 candidates from one end of the country to the other? 7 got in. So I don't know if that's a poor return on investment or not. And the ones that did get in, they seem to be pretty clustered. Like they're certainly not spread from one end of the country to the other.
Lee Vandervis having the meltdown about his
Oh, okay. Now we get it. For those of you that don't know, a couple of terms ago, Lee Vandervis got a car parking ticket because he misread a notice on the parking meter. And look, to be honest, fair. Like, if I'd done exactly the same thing, I would have wanted to contest the ticket as well. One side of the parking meter said one time, the other side of the parking meter said another, and he got a ticket. So instead of being a rational adult human being and going into the council with photos and say, hey, look, I got this car parking ticket. I don't think it's particularly fair or clear. Can I have the ticket waived? He behaved like an absolute man-child and threw around threats at the person behind the counter, and it just escalated. You know how men of a certain age just don't back down? Ever. He took this parking ticket and the code of conduct flag that he got all the way to the High Court. I think conservatively it cost ratepayers about $100,000 to the point where a member of the public paid for his parking ticket just to stop it, but it was the principle of the thing. But he still says that he's a champion for ratepayers' value for money. Despite that, it doesn't see the hypocrisy in it at all. And when he's questioned about his temper, he says that it's, I think at one stage he said it's racism because he's of Dutch descent. So take that however you want.
Dunedin councillor Lee Vandervis ended up with having to repay the city council almost $30,000 after unsuccessfully litigating, the council has disclosed. So there you go. He got a hit from himself. I'm sure he feels proud about that, though. Anyway, I think it's time to.
That's why we don't like Lee Vandervis. Plus, he spoke to anti-vax people and all sorts of stuff. He's just there on council to vote no. I'm sure every council in the country have someone like that. They achieve nothing. They just want to vote no on every progressive thing that comes through the council.
We've got quite a lot of video footage to look at tonight, and there's some quite long blocks of footage to look at. One News did a Verian poll, which is interesting. It's kind of not good for anyone. Leaders aren't trusted of the major parties. Coalition of Chaos would still get in if it was today, yada, yada, yada. But it is an interesting jump off to also have a look at what the minor parties are thinking of the polling. One did quite an interesting little tidbit at the end of the story where they then went and spoke to the minor party leaders about what they think. So
hang on, wait. The mainstream news has decided to talk to the minor parties.
The Pāti Māori had this conversation on Mata on, I guess it was Friday it came out. And one of the points, it was quite interesting to watch actually, listening to Debbie talking about how the mainstream media kind of spin everything. Like, and the example they used was Orini Kaipara's maiden speech. Yet all the media would talk about is how, like, including us, but we did it because it was hilarious, the number of times the bells went ding and the haka that happened up in the thing. And hearing that today and then watching the news today where I think it might be the One News one, talks about internal ructions and shows Takutai Ferris as a problem for Te Pāti Māori, like doing exactly what Debbie says the mainstream media does. Also, something really interesting for that Mata video, I don't know if you've seen it, Joe, but it feels like, now I'm going to play some bits for you later on, and I want your opinion, but it feels like they really give Mikey Sherman a ton of shit. Like, basically throw shade at Mikey Sherman, really strong, really serious shade, and basically say that, I don't want to use the word dishonest because that implies, kind of in a legal sense, but basically imply that if they agree to something, she never sticks by what they've agreed to and they'll ask them anything. I know, I see your furrowed brow. I'll play those for you as we go through. But it's interesting to see, like, as a part of this this is really long, so we won't watch all of it. But I do want to play a bit of the poll, then I'll jump forward and play the minor parties doing exactly that. Straight away, TVNZ does exactly that, and it talks about Takuza. I'm pretty sure it's TVNZ that does that. Then later on tonight, we're going to have a look, of course, at the peace in the Middle East. Man, I've got more than just my fingers crossed for this. Everything is crossed. I feel really uneasy about it, and we'll have a look why a bit later on. And it's hilarious to watch every incel right-winger in the world talking about, well, they can't even thank Trump. Like, mate, if Trump brings peace to the Middle East, I'll kiss his feet. You know, I don't care how the people of Gaza stop being bombed and murdered and have war crimes committed against them. If he's the one that we have to go, tip of the cap, sir. Yep, I mean, guess that means we're getting the Nobel Peace Prize next year. If that's what it takes for this to finish, fine. What the reason that the right-wing incels who are out in the internet world are saying that, oh, look, these lefties won't even say his name, is because if it was reversed, they wouldn't. That's the point. They think that we are as shallow and bitter and hollow as they are, that if it was Chloe Green who brought peace to the Middle East, they would never do it. So they think we wouldn't do it, giving credit where credit's due. Now, I'm saying credit where credit's due if it is. Because remember, Trump already thinks he's stopped 8 wars, which he hasn't done. So if it is credit to Trump, then Trump should get credit. If it's not credit to Trump, but he's got a hand to play in it, then he should get credit for a hand to play in it. You know, so accurate and fair response to it is what we're going to be looking for. But yeah, it's been very funny to watch the game of projection, they call it. It's a new game by Hasbro. It's called Projection, and the right-wingers play it a lot because they would never, ever, ever. Bernie Sanders did something, they would never give Bernie Sanders credit. So they think it applies to the other side as well, which it shouldn't and doesn't.
I mean, look, a journalist got killed, I think, yesterday. He was the journalist on the ground that announced the ceasefire amongst cheering Gazans, and he got killed the next day. So, you know, let's not do a victory lap at this point.
And also, just to remember this, and this is a quote, through this whole period, the quote has been that Netanyahu will, quote, Netanyahu will let, quote, nothing will stop us destroying Hamas. Now, I don't want to keep everybody on tenterhooks here, but Hamas has not been destroyed. So if nothing will stop us destroying Hamas, that means a ceasefire will not stop us destroying Hamas. That means that the release of our hostages will not stop us destroying Hamas. But what if Hamas is still in all those so-called tunnels and stuff? Well, that won't stop Netanyahu from destroying Hamas, which is why I approach it with a huge amount of optimism and desire and a massive dollop of caution as to what's actually going to happen. So that's where I'm sitting. Anyway, let's get to the one news story, and let's have a look at the polling to start off with. As is always the case, we're not really that interested in polling about who would win today. It's 50-50. But what is interesting is even though Christopher Hipkins is a more popular leader when you do the plus versus minus, he has dropped significantly more in that plus versus minus than Luxon has. So yeah, some interesting trends to be taken out of this when it comes to the feeling of New Zealand today.
But back here, it's looking bleak. The number of voters who believe the economy will get worse has soared to the highest levels in 2.5 years. Our latest One News video.
They must have asked the question wrong, because remember, this is the government of business, that it's going to fix everything like that. Remember? That's what they told us. So the business owners just aren't being fair, obviously. They're not responding correctly.
Verian poll shows. As a gloomy outlook rises, the approval ratings for the major party leaders have plummeted. With reaction and analysis, beginning with political editor Mikey Sherman and the exclusive numbers.
1 year out from the election and the major party leaders are in a slump. We asked voters if they approve or disapprove of the way Christopher Luxon and Chris Hipkins are doing their jobs. As Prime Minister, taking those who approve minus those who disapprove, Luxon gets an approval rating of -14. That result twice as bad as when we asked in March.
Yeah, so that's not good, yeah? So it's got bad. But you're talking about, I mean, it's terrible being underwater, -14. But losing 7 points behind what Chippy loses, You got to say what's going on in the field of the public at the moment.
As opposition leader, Hipkins received an approval rating of +1. While not in the negative territory, it is a massive 15-point drop from his result in March.
Now, Mikey said 15 and the graphics say 16. Let's call it 15.5. I'm not sure exactly what it is. But that's a significant concern for Labour. Obviously, as always, this is just a snapshot. But if that's a concern for Labour, then National must be apoplectic that Luxon is on -14. So the concern for Labour is that that's a massive drop. It is, without sugarcoating it, from, I guess, +17 to +1. And the massive concern for National is, everybody thinks that Luxon's useless at this job. It's kind of what that says. Well, not everyone, but a huge percentage of the majority of people think that.
Voters sending a clear message. Both leaders need to do better. Now, let's take a look at the party results. National is steady on 34%. Labour dips 1 point on 32%. The Greens are up 1 point on 11%. New Zealand First maintains its position on 1 on 5%. While Chloe Swart is down preferred Prime Minister numbers now. Christopher Luxon is up 1 on 21%. Chris Hipkins is down 1 on 18%. Winston Peters, once again, is up by 1 on 8%.
Just remember as well, though, Luxon should be in the mid-30s, should be the worst he should be, as the 2 years into his first term, rescuing the country from the terrible last lot. So he's actually, for where most prime ministers are at this stage of a cycle, in the first cycle, it's pretty abysmal. You should be worried about that as well. If you're this close, if you're margin of error to the leader of the opposition, then that's a concern. Because remember, True, like I said to you last time, the person will win traditionally has been the preferred prime minister. Yeah. I can't say they've always been. I kind of think it is, but just to cover myself, if there's been one or two that haven't, has generally been the preferred prime minister. And at the moment, Chris Hipkins is 3 points off, according to this poll, the preferred prime minister, which should be a concern for National.
Do you remember when, I think it was Judith Collins, when she said, what was it? Oh, was it the party or her? As she got below 32%, she'd resign.
Was that the number? 32? I don't know if it was that high, but she said something.
It was low 30s. I'm sure she said, and it was either the party or her preferred prime ministership. She would resign. Now, she never did. But I just remember that when that was an unspeakably low number for them to hit, but she was going to stake a resignation on it.
You ready?
Am I right in that? Yep.
Collins refuses to resign even if National polls below 20%. National leader Judith Collins said she will never resign from her position even if the party support sinks below 20%. The declaration comes as dissatisfaction at her performance grows in the caucus, with 2 recent polls registering a dismal result. So I'm assuming that's a story on RNZ. That she had said if the party gets below 20%, she would resign. That's
right.
what
I misremembered that.
Yeah. So there we go. We'll see who else is going to be preferred prime minister.
Chloe Swarbrick is up a solid 2 points on 6%, while David Seymour is also up 1 on 5%. Shane Jones steady on 1. Plenty to digest, especially for the 2 major party leaders.
I had this thought today. And I'm going to ruin this for me, 2:29. I had this thought today. When we hear, in particular, Winston Peters and David Seymour talking about the lunatic left fringe, these communists who should never be in charge, I think every time they say that, someone should remind them who's polling higher at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Because the way that Winston Peters and David Seymour talk about, in particular, the Greens, as being these fringe, the worst ideas in the world, the XYZ continue on. I mean, this would say to me that ACT is far more fringe, which means their ideas must be far more worse. Using that logic. and New Zealand First much of the same. Te Pāti Māori in their conversation with Mata said, and I don't know if we're going to play it, so I'll just repeat it, said that they are looking for 7 and 7 at the next election. They put a line in the ground, which is pretty cool. 7 seats, 7 Māori seats, and 7%. Debbie said in their conversation that they didn't expect the results they have now, I think, until 2028. And she sees that as part of sort of the growing fast problems they've got at the moment. So it's quite nice thinking about these guys putting their stake in the ground. And if Te Pāti Māori was at 7, they'd be up there with ACT and not far behind New Zealand First. We'll have a listen to a little bit of the news item now about this story.
They have the 2 biggest jobs in politics, but voters say the Chris's just ain't crushing it.
Why won't he simply admit that his government is all delulu and no salulu?
So he's just playing petty politics. We care about fixing the joint that you crashed, and we're fixing it.
Both leaders are doing the downward boogie in
Hate
approval
that.
ratings.
Hate the dancing.
The
Hate
public
that.
questioning if they're making the right moves.
Yeah, look, it's not really about me. It's actually about me making sure I lead a team that does the job for New Zealanders.
They're not.
Says
They're
the man who wants a knighthood, and that's it.
I don't read very much into that at all. You know, being leader of the opposition, you expect your ratings to take a bit of a hit.
But a 15-point drop for Hipkins is more than a bit of a hit. It's a pummelling.
Bad
Look,
image.
I don't place too much store in these sorts of ratings. I think it's important that we get out there and that we listen to New Zealanders.
Luxon, meanwhile, is way down in negative no man's land.
I'm just focused on what I have to do, which is make sure I deliver for the New Zealand people, a growing economy.
But you're not.
I just hate
But
these
you're not.
talking points.
You're not doing it.
When is that going to start, Mr. Luxon? That should be the question out of the report. Okay,
You're
so
gonna
that's
tell
what
us
you're aiming to. When is that going to begin? Is that going to happen in this term, or are you going to look for that in the second term, perhaps?
And I'll make that decision in 2026.
Digging the country out of its economic funk
All right, so let's get this thing going, eh?
has been a bumpy road for the government, with GDP falling 0.9% in the June quarter.
The Trump tariffs created a huge amount of anxiety, and actually people don't
It's
spend
not
or don't
my
invest
fault,
in that
Pat.
way.
It's not.
But we're now growing
It's
again.
Trump. Trump
The
did
One News
this to
Verian
me.
poll asks voters for their
Just remember, guys, and I know we say this almost every time, this government would not allow the last government to use the example of external forces, COVID, as an excuse for their economic performance. So even though what he's saying has some validity, right? Obviously, the turmoil around the world that Trump has done has impacted every other country. They don't get the credit, or they don't have the ability to use it because they wouldn't let the last lot unit use it. And that's one of the things we're always going to do here. Bring you back, Mr. Luxon, to what you promised us you would do or have, and what you forced on the last lot. I think that's more than fair. And if anyone wants to argue with us doing that, I think you'll be showing your colours over your logic, because I think just saying to them, same as the last lot, same as what you said, if nothing else, pretty fair. Economic outlook, here we go.
Economic outlook. Since the coalition came into power, pessimism had largely been tracking down. But our latest results show a sharp 18% rise in those who think the economy will get worse.
I wonder why. I mean, I wonder what the rationale behind this 18% jump. They don't really explain it. Maybe we need Craig to tell us why. Craig did a very good podcast a few weeks ago where he talked about why do we feel like the New Zealand economy is so bad? And the answer is because this government, through their opposition, and then partway through this term, have been telling us it's so bad. And so basically it's become a self-fulfilling prophecy. We now think it's as bad as it can get because this government in opposition told us it was as bad as it can get and have done nothing to right that ship. So on some level, the community, our society, thinks we're in the worst spot ever because this government has told us for 3 years we're in the worst spot ever, no matter where we actually are. I wonder if that's got anything to do with the steep climb. People have finally started listening and going, oh, they're saying it's bad, so it must be really bad, so I don't have much confidence. Wonder? Don't know.
over the next 12 months.
Well, and there's no doubt about it. You know, Q2 we had the economy contract. We know we're growing again now. But the key thing is going forward.
New Zealanders are pretty fair. They'll give a new government the benefit of the doubt, and they have been giving this government the benefit of the doubt. But they can also see that the country's going backwards, and all Christopher Luxon's offering them is blame and excuses.
But what are Labor's excuses?
Pretty good
Despite
line.
the economic turmoil, high
Mikey, Labor doesn't need to have any excuses. Labor's in opposition. What are you expecting? Like, we'll say this again. When National at the last election didn't really release any policy until February of the year of the election. So they're all saying, oh, Chris Hipkins should be doing more. Oh, Chris Hipkins, he's the quiet man. Oh, where's the policy? It's like, no, same. Next year. If he hasn't released stuff by February of next year, I'll be on that bandwagon with you. So when you say what's Labor going to do, for what reason? For sitting in opposition and holding this government to account, that's their job. That's their job, to hold the government to account, nothing else.
unemployment and Kiwis heading overseas, critics argue Labor has failed to capitalise.
I think what people are waiting for is the policy. I understand that they're anxious to see our policy, but there's still quite a bit of water to flow under the bridge before the next elections.
Well, I just think for New Zealanders to think about Labor, Te Pāti Māori and the Greens and the woeful economic literacy that would exist in
I do not think I do not think this is the win you think it is, Mr. Luxon, because what we start to do is we think of National, ACT and New Zealand First, talking about penises and toilets as well. So I don't think this is a winning narrative, sir.
Talk about their woeful economic bloody shit fuckery.
Yeah.
Like, these guys gave away so much fucking cash that they left themselves in a corner where the only thing was to just lay off people and make cuts and cuts and cuts and cuts. If they didn't do that fucking lolly scramble right at the top, they would have an $8.4 billion budget surplus right now. Like, that's the level of economic vandalism that they've done. And they are, as Mountain Tui has pointed out on his social media this week, these guys are following such an obvious pathway of running down public services, crashing the economy, and leaving privatization as the only pathway out.
Yeah.
They are following the blueprint.
Right, let's keep going.
that time. I think we'd be in a huge amount of pain and suffering.
Both leaders now left with 12 months to prove they're the best Chris for the top job.
We're going to move into straight into the next part of this conversation, because it's the conversation with the minor leaders. And even though we've played it the other way around, I want you to pay attention to when they start talking about Te Pāti Māori. I'll feel embarrassed if I've got the wrong story in my head, but how they do exactly what Debbie will tell us later on they do, which is just highlight all the negatives about Te Pāti Māori and nothing else.
Mikey will join me live shortly for more on the Chris's. First, senior political reporter Benedict Collins looks at the fortunes of the minor parties, as today's numbers make it clear National Labour would need their support to form the next government.
Oh, it's such terrible reporting. The numbers today tell us this. When have they fucking not needed support? Other than one election in the middle of COVID, right? Every other election since the mid-90s. Well, the major parties are now aware they might need minor in every election. Every election. This is not a shock to the voting public or the political parties.
With a new MP in the House and a thumping win in the Tamaki Makaurau by-election, Te Pāti Māori should be celebrating. Instead, they've been beefing with non-Māori.
So you got all these other ethnicities.
The first thing. Debbie called it. It's the first thing. Mm-hmm. So they want to talk to minor parties about how they feel about the polls that have just come out. And the first thing they do is put up the clip with Takutai Ferris. It's the roadmap. It's the roadmap, team. Keep watching it. Every time you watch it from now on, see the angle they take. Sometimes Te Pāti Māori is going to be due and deserve a right rural bollocking. Other times they're not. It seems that what Debbie is saying, and I think that they're echoing it in this, is every time they give them a right rural bollocking, no matter what. That's how it feels.
Campaigning for Labour.
Beefing with the press.
You guys can take Mikey for that one. Kia ora.
And beefing with each other.
That's a model of the leadership's way or the highway.
What do you say to that?
I mean, what has this got to do with the polling? Like, what has this got to do with the story? The story was about how the minor parties are feeling about the polling. What has this got to do with that? It's shoddy, man. It's shoddy. You know what it is? This is clickbait. This is, if you put the right thumbnail on the video, it will get more views. If you slam this party and add these sorts of things into the video, it will get more clicks on the TVNZ page. It's basically what it is, because none of this is to do with the polling. This is all the stuff that's got that Deb has been talking about that they throw at them all the time. Some of this is absolutely warrantable of a conversation and criticism, 100% with that. But every time, the time when you're supposed to be talking about polling, still then, sure.
It's a beautiful thing.
Now in need of a reset.
It's been a bit of a messy ride for you guys lately, though.
Oh, it's been a tough ride. I mean, you know, politics isn't for the light-hearted.
Do you think things are going to get worse before they get better, though, for you guys as a party?
It has to be less about us and more about those of our whānau that are out on the ground, you know, really working hard to sustain their families.
The Greens, meanwhile, climbing 1 to 11%. They're clearly pretty happy with the political outlook.
Te Pāti Māori has made a real conscious change of direction. Well, maybe not change of direction, but clear narrative. And their clear narrative is, we want to be in government. That's what the clear narrative is. We want to work with these other two parties. We want to be in government. That's what the narrative now is.
Very much so. They think the public are getting their memo.
We can make sure there are free ECE, free GPs, free dental.
But it's not all fun and games. One of their lot just threw in the towel.
It's been rough, as everyone has seen. It's been a real challenging time for us. I'm really proud that despite everything, we are still doing the mahi.
Fronting the government's position on Palestine has seen Winston Peters cop it, both at home and away.
Yeah, that's me.
But Mr. Peters is staying positive.
Hold on, blah, 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 blah.
He's nearly doubled his party's political support this year.
Well, we understand hundreds of thousands of forgotten New Zealanders, their plight and what they need to help them.
He's so good at spinning absolute shit. What he's talking
hundreds
about,
of thousands.
He's talking about New Zealand First voters, who probably, because of their age, are the most active voting bloc in New Zealand, and he's selling it like they're the underground. You wait till you hear from these guys. He's so good at spinning such bullshit. He's a master. You give him, if nothing else, he is a master of holding a handful of bullshit and making you believe it smells like roses. It's who he is.
Going forward.
Acts in no need of resuscitation.
It's more alive than some people in Parliament.
It's holding steady in the polls.
ACT is very healthy. I'm so proud of our team. I'm so proud of the policy changes that we're making. They are fixing things that matter to New Zealanders so we have a brighter tomorrow.
And they'll all be gearing up to win over more voters as they head into election year. Benedict Collins, One News.
We won't go back to Mikey. We'll let them have their commentary to themselves. But yeah, on some level, kind of a bit of a nothing poll, but also there is 12 months out. It is probably a point in time to go, right now is the time to start looking at what the way the country's feeling about these parties. This is probably becoming sort of active electioneering time. I know David Seymour's been doing it for 6 months already, and so has Winston Peters, because they have to differentiate themselves out from this government. But 12 months out, that's what we're looking at. And 12 months out, it seems like the message from the from the voter is not really a fan of either Chippy or Luxon, but really, who else would we point at? Because no one else is really jumping up. Like, I'm sure in these pollings they'll be also doing, what about Erica Stanford? What about Chris Bishop? You know, they'll be doing that. What about Carmel Sepuloni? But that's how it kind of feels. I wonder if it sort of feels like, what it feels like looking at those results is the results are saying that there's not like a person in New Zealand politics right now that New Zealand gravitates towards and trusts immensely. I know we would say, like, I'm pretty trusting of Chloe and that kind of stuff, but that also then has the support behind that person to project them into a preferred Prime Minister status.
Yeah, I'm going to say the usual caveat about polls, especially ones where the percentage change is so low, it's within the margin of error. Look, who gives a fuck? I think the interesting discussion here is, as you said, the preferred prime minister. We have a deeply, deeply, deeply unpopular prime minister who is seen to have an authenticity and relatability problem, and has had that problem since almost the first month, if not before. Like, Chippy should be beating him to death with his own arm at this point in those polls. And he's not getting the cut through. I saw a comment on Facebook that was like, this feels like both major parties are doing leadership chicken. Who's going to get rolled first? Now, whether I think that's fair or not, I don't know. I don't know. Look, I like Chippy. I do. I think he's an authentic guy. I think he's trustworthy. But I think the lesson here is, whatever you are doing is not measuring up against one of the most deeply unpopular leaders we've had since Muldoon's final days.
I paused for a sec. I'm not cutting off your thought process. I'm just showing. Now, this was from last year, so it's not up to date.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time last year, Key, Clark, Ardern, Luxon. So you can see, historically speaking, in the same... This is last year, so it'll look different now. It might be worse. It certainly won't be better because he hasn't taken off. Because, look, it's on 20. They're down. He's down here now, isn't he? He's on 21. But you can see, compared to other prime ministers at the same time, he's doing really poorly, which is why I was saying in this current point, in this current election cycle, he should be doing so much better. I mean, this was February, so this is only, 4 months after the election, but 51, John Key had 51, Helen Clark had 43, Ardern had 41. At that point, Luxon had 25. I suspect you'd probably see Ardern's go through the roof because of that would have been coming up towards COVID, I'm guessing. It would have been 2019. So it would have been coming up towards COVID. So, but either way, even though he's still the most preferred prime minister, it's like the skinniest kid at fat camp, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm the most healthy person in this place of, people who are 300 kilos overweight. It's like, it's not a good result, even though it might be the best of today's stats sort of thing.
Yeah. So I guess finishing my thought here, I would have to sit there and go, look, the current tactic, he mentioned this, not the last time we had him on the show, but the time before that, when we said, hey, where's the mongrel, where's the aggression? And he said, look, I have to be palatable to the middle, the guys that could go either way. I would say that tactic is not working.
I think he's changed, and I think what I'm seeing now in Chippy, and look, I'll be honest, I'm sort of assuming he'll be the leader at the next election. I wouldn't bet my house on it though, but I'm going with that. But you've seen a couple of times. Last week there was a brilliant question in the House. Could the Prime Minister say, is the economy now bigger or smaller than when he started this term? Brilliant question. Because it's contracted 1.3%. I wonder if they're sharpening their messaging. And I think that you don't need mongrel necessarily if you've got brilliance, like a brilliant wit or brilliant questioning. The kind of questioning, like it's the smiling assassin who can take you apart, leave you as a bloody mess on the floor, but doesn't break a sweat and is smiling at the end of the engagement. That kind of question is sort of in that camp. So I'm interested to see where they go in the next 12 months. Will they go mongrel? Will they leave someone like Kieran to be mongrel? Or will they go towards absolutely, samurai sword sharp cutting questioning in that? We'll see.
So, I mean, Labour's front row is all mongrel. You've got Kieran, you've got Barbs. They're just so incredibly across stuff that National isn't. But I saw a piece over the weekend that was this was mainly aimed at the Democrats in the States, and specifically around Mamdani in New York, because they don't know what to do with them, right? And the conversation is, our party has become all about not losing more than winning.
Yeah.
So they're trying to minimize the things that the opposition is going to attack them on. And I think this is the same in the UK, and I think it's the same here. They're so petrified of giving the opposition something to beat them up over that they don't do anything. You know, give people something to vote for and capitalize on the real tangible levels of anger out in the electorate at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, people can see that things are worse. Objectively, measurably worse, and also worse than the vibes. The vibes are bad. You know, nobody's spending any money because they're terrified of their job getting cut.
Yep.
They know that their workplaces that they work for are not doing well because people are holding on to their money because it feels like something it's going to get worse. That's what really crashes economies. And we've got people here that talk about making a productive economy, but clearly have no understanding of how that works. We've got a government that is still blaming unions for the mega strike that's coming, and the way they speak about it clearly don't understand how unions work. They think teachers are paid from enjoying their job. Like, it's weird. You know, at every time somebody the union has negotiated for pay, every single minister involved has turned around and lied about how much people are paid. Like, there is anger there. And this is what our opposition parties should be harvesting, that community rage. And I think when you look at Chippy's result there, he's not capturing that. He's not giving people someone to vote for, giving people a movement to get behind. Those core things that Labour should be all over. So then who's going to do that for us? Is it going to be the Greens? Is it going to be Te Pāti Māori? Are these three parties going to start pulling in the same direction? I haven't seen it yet. I've seen some really good ideas. I haven't seen this yet. And, you know, maybe that's why this is a nothing poll, because there's nothing. We haven't been given anything yet.
Citizen Gold says 432 days at most, right, Pat? Yes, we stand with Citizen Gold. We stand with them. Kiwi Bird, Māori wards have a higher approval rating than ACT. Peter says the vampire got more votes than Pamela Taylor. Is that right? LOL. Wooming, Auckland equals 28.8% turnout, down from 35.5 in 2022. I think listening to, was it Bomber's show? One of the candidates there said the most concerning thing for them was that every person you asked in Auckland about the upcoming election, they went, "Oh, is there an election on?" So there's a big part to play on it.
So again, they're private company running the elections. I think it's elections. You know, they're making money out of this. So how do you minimise spending the money? You don't tell people stuff. The local body elections should come under out of private hands into public hands. It's in the public benefit. It's vital. It's too important to leave in the hands of a private entity.
Kiwi Bird says compulsory voting is the answer. I don't know if it is or isn't. I think that they could go digital though. Everyone could get their phone out and go, vote, 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 vote. Done. I think that would be a good step in the right direction. Speedlock says automatic enrolment and online voting. There you go. Late Free from Vanda. Wooming says Electoral Commission must run elections with decent funding. Bill says, here's $1. Howie says, history will judge us for how long we stay buddy with the USA. It has fallen. Now government killing citizens with unregulated force and ICE, whose annual budget is larger than almost any national military at $78 billion
terrifying.
US. Yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah,
Arvid
I mean,
says,
sorry.
We should mention Jago every time just to mention ACT.
Yes. Look, every time Luxon goes, oh, look, you know, Trump's tariffs. The question needs to be, what about our other trading partners?
Yeah, they're all going up. They're doing better than us.
Like, if we're getting punished by the US for our trade deficit, let's just not trade with the US. That's like, I'd love to see, like, it's probably economic suicide, but part of me wants to go, well, it's our milk solids and we're going home.
Andrew says that I missed an important part. Caucus has factions. You don't just have to please the people. You have to overcome some fading stars who hold sway. Henry says Danny Stevens going to Christchurch's office has been good. Okay. And Sean says, I tweeted about this in the weekend. I tweeted, I wonder what excuse this government will come up with now should this ceasefire hold. So what's the next excuse, Mr. Luxon? Should our nation recognise Palestine as a state while there still are people to recognise, says Sean. I've just got this heavy, I've got this concern. I'm going to wake up, maybe not tomorrow morning, maybe not the next morning, but the next one, that a whole hundreds of thousands of people have come back to northern Gaza and Israel has the right to defend itself. Like, honestly, it's just, I'm not. Wooming says, let's not forget Helen polled 2% and preferred PM's poll 1996. When she was leader of the opposition, she became prime minister at the next election. I'm going to share one. I'm going to share one thing on ICE, which I have up here somewhere. I'm sure we've all enjoyed the anti-fascist frog over the weekend. Have we all enjoyed?
Thank you for bringing this up. Thank you.
This is the anti-fascist
frog. I
frog.
love this so much.
And this is the way to literally make ICE back up and back away from you. And it's especially enjoyable when you do kind of a mimicking sex act in your anti-fascist frog suit. And that makes them back up even more. I mean, the ridiculous. This is the streets of Portland being that one there. That's a really good action. This is Trump's streets of Portland being a war zone. I heard Sam Cedar saying the other day that he hates people going to protest in costumes, and he says, but not anymore. Because what this does is just show the absolute ludicrous nature of what's going on. Now, there's a dark part about this, and that's what ICE did to the anti-fascist frog. And if you haven't seen this, when I saw this, I gasped out loud. This is so bad. So from the left-hand side of the screen, you're going to see an ICE officer come in with pepper spray. And where's he going to spray it? In the air duct intake of the anti-fascist frog suit. Have a look. So right now, that frog's doing nothing, the person is doing nothing. No crime is being committed. That is a fan that is now filling that suit with pepper spray, bear spray, whatever there is correct terminology. And that, I know it's perhaps not the worst thing you've ever seen, but that is evil personified. So right now, that person inside that thing is in a hermetically sealed, is that the right word? Hermetically sealed suit, breathing in and not able to get away from the pepper spray that the ICE agent just thought he'd spray in there. Now, apparently the anti-fascist frog is okay. But still...
Yes, I saw an interview with him where he just basically laughed it off.
Sure,
which is also a power move.
But that is what ICE is doing to citizens legally allowed in the streets, protesting, doing nothing wrong. Not just pepper spraying them so they can run away, pepper spraying them so they then are in, it's everywhere and they can't get out of it. It's pretty shocking.
Look, they shot a priest in the head with pepper bullets the other day. They've shot their own men. They've deployed tear gas on Chicago police trying to de-escalate. I've got friends in Chicago. They say it's weird. Very, very bad feeling in the streets over there at the moment. But yes, Anti-Fascist Frog is my new favorite. It is intensely memeable. This is another one. That's just amazing. And that one as well. And I noted someone on Reddit said at the moment on Amazon, and you know how you look on a product on Amazon and it says how many have sold in the last X amount of days?
Yeah.
Inflatable frog costumes have gone through the fucking roof. And now there's an army of inflatable mascots that are protesting outside the ice facility in Chicago. Can you imagine how demeaning it is to be mocked by a light-up inflatable unicorn, a frog with a cape,
I think
carrot?
That's the point. Yeah.
It's amazing.
And let me show you where that leads to, right? This weekend, the next No Kings protest. Now, we love talking about hikuis and that kind of stuff in New Zealand and getting along on Saturday afternoon. I went to the vigil for Palestine on Saturday night. Saw some of you up there. Kia ora. Now, you ready for this, Chewy? If you'd like to find an event in America. You ready for this? Mm-hmm. No Kings protest. You ready? I'll just slowly scroll down.
Oh, that's hot. I like it.
I mean, Dominican Republic, Mexico. Just saying. And do we think the per capita number of inflatable frogs will be significant in all those spots? Probably so.
I did see a joke that was like, a guy asking, how's our sales for this quarter going? And then it pans across to the guy that's in charge of the inflatable frog costume division. And he goes, look, guys, I don't know what to tell you. Something fucking crazy's happened.
Yeah. All right. Oh, there's a few more chats in there. We'll get to those and then we'll move on to the next thing. Waihiki says, I started voting in our local election when they brought in the Māori ward. Our Māori ward is going to be removed now, so why bother voting? Yep. Chris Hipkins' office, he used to be Green's comm director. Okay.
Oh, that might be a reference to the other question, the other super chat.
And did you see the Juice Meter vid on Oscar? Yeah, I did. I kind of would love to play it, but I think it'll get us
demonetized.
Yeah, so
I did see comment that it sounds like they've been talking to us.
Maybe we've been part of your research.
Yeah. I did see a few comments when they were asking. I think it was about almost 2 months ago. They were asking about what they should cover in a New Zealand video, and I did see a few people name drop us, or name drop BHN. I don't know if they've listened to us. They certainly haven't spoken to us.
Hi,
but I am just for any piece of media that says national. They put the N in cuts to be.
I've got the best T-shirt. I got the best T-shirt either. I'm going to start working on. It's got a picture. It's got like a stylized version of the maybe top 3 or 4 on the list for national, and down below it, it's going to say National Front, and then in very, very, very small print say bench. National Front bench. Very, very, nice. Very small print. I quite like that. Hey, we're going to keep moving, bro, because look at the time. We got some crackers still to come as well. Okay, so Mata I think it was released on Friday. I think. I'm going to skip a clip that I was going to play, which is basically the Mihingarangi Forbes was saying has Te Pāti Māori been a few degrees off, and the leaders have said, yep, and now we're writing our waka. Second part of that same part of the conversation, basically talking about what you want to do in the next 12 months. And this is where I think you can hear the definitive change in messaging, and Debbie is very clear, we want to be in government with Labour.
Did you get to?
Just over a year of this government left. What are your top priorities, Deb, for Māori communities facing ongoing struggles?
I think our first thing is to make sure that they can see and hear themselves in us as a movement. And that was a lot about what yesterday was about. It was also to give clarity on what it is that we will stand for, what it is that we will negotiate, and to get into government. I think probably the biggest message we gave yesterday, which was a big, growth part of us as well, is that we are preparing to be in government.
Good.
And we need your support to do that.
Good.
And this is about making sure that our solutions, the oars that are already in the water, become our focus. It's not about Te Pāti Māori reinventing our solutions, it's actually amplifying them and giving kaha to them through this space.
Yeah, you talk about, your position here is for Te iwi Māori. You're here because of Te iwi Māori, and you're here to fight for the kaupapa that matter to them. And we're in a cost of living crisis. Unemployment is rising. Health access is tightening. We can't even get into ED, and when we do, it takes 2 days to get out. Have you got your priorities right, do you think?
I think our priorities are always going to have to flex around what our needs of our community are. Like only a couple of days ago, we got dropped on about parents earning more than $69,000, which is effectively $55,000 net, to be responsible for their 16 to 18, 19-year-olds on job seeker. So our priorities will always be about our whānau. Our priorities will always be about the oranga of our taiao. Our priorities will also be about our vision to be able to get to the shores of Aotearoa Hau, that everyone deserves to live with dignity, that everyone deserves to be able to share in the wealth of Aotearoa. So the pou of who and what we are will always be strongly focused on our people and our taiao.
So, but it's. I think it's a lovely message that's always strongly focused on our people, but it's still about everyone as well. It doesn't have to be either or. It can be both. It's like we talk about how two things can be both accurate. Like when we talked about Winston's house, that can be a bad action, but it also can be him beating it up a bit. It's like there is a special relationship with Indigenous New Zealanders, and New Zealand can be used and welcomed and available for everyone. So it can be both, even though some people would like to say that if you have one, you can't have the other, Mr. Seymour. But also, like I said to you at the start of that, very good to see and pleasing to see Debbie really kind of focus in on we are preparing to begin government. I think there's parts of this conversation that we're not going to play tonight, just purely because of time, because it's a 40-minute conversation, where they talk about what they have in common with Labour and what they have in common with the Greens, and their active conversations that are going on right now. So it's cool. We'll get to the second part of this conversation because it's quite an important part. It's probably the most important part, I think, from this conversation, which is how to change the government. How to change this government, how to make them a one-term government. Really, really good. And I don't know if we're going to show it tonight. I don't think I've got it media. There's actually also a really good clip in this video. You should go check it out, where they talk about the Kapakingi situation and the hurt feelings, and it was real honest and real good conversation to be had as well. And you should definitely go and watch it. I think it's more like the kind of 20-minute-ish mark is through that period. I don't know, maybe we'll revisit this later in the week and do some more on it, but yeah, some very interesting conversation around the so-called controversy. And Mihi's like, what about takutai Ferris? What's the story? Can you see how it would be, deemed offensive? And they're like, yep. So it's a really good, healthy conversation. Anyway, back to it. How to change the government.
Some formality to that as well.
Can you find common ground, Rawiri, with Chris Hipkins?
No, absolutely. Like if we've always said that there are some common themes that we all agree on. One is around the tiriti o Waitangi. That's part of their constitution, is a Paori tiriti o Waitangi. And so the Greens also have that. There's also some taiao alignments that we have with the Greens. And probably 80% of our policy manifesto align with the Greens policy manifesto. And so you've got two very strong parties that want for the same thing. Te tiriti o Waitangi, they want for a good environment, and we want to ensure that we start to close the gaps in terms of the cost of living. And those are some of the fundamental things that our people are really feeling at this particular time. And
we talked about this last week, and ironically, he said 80% to do with, I love Te Pāti Kakarangi. Kakariki. Sorry. Yeah, I'll go through my head in a second. It didn't sound right. And we said last week about working with people, or 80% you are in agreement and you negotiate the 20%. And they've said, I mean, I know they're just also pulling a number out of their head, that 80% with the Greens. And hopefully that means maybe 70 or 60% with Labour. Perhaps. That's a real solid base to start with. Thank you, Paula. Kakariki. It got stuck in my head.
I'm not hearing those voices in this particular government. I would say this is the most racist, fascist government we have seen for a long, long time.
Their own former ministers agree.
You need to work on your messaging there. It's a little bit unclear what you're thinking there, Rawiri.
What we've seen in the past overseas, and also currently happening overseas in America and things like that, and the Americanization of our country is a concern. And so this is about the people taking back this Aotearoa. That we're really proud to be in.
We've also, on those kaupapa, it sounds like you have got common ground.
Yeah.
But in recent weeks, we've got Tākuta Whereas having a go at Pēni Henare having a go at Tākuta Whereas, Tākuta having a go at ethnic communities. Are you fighting the wrong side? Should you be, having a go at the coalition rather than your own possible potential coalition partners?
Well, quite often this is how the media want it to play out, and this is why we've lost a little bit of trust in the mainstream media. Is that they constantly grab these stories, and I've said in many speeches, and also in my own disdain of the mainstream media, is that if it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead. And so they will find our brown.
Yep, we've said that lots of times, whānau. If it bleeds, it leads. That's what even though, when it comes down to media, TVNZ's pretty good, mainstream media. They're pretty fair, but still, this is the thing, right? The difference between TVNZ and, say, BBC One. BBC One is completely funded. They don't have to worry about budgets. They're not commercial. TVNZ is somewhat funded, but in their charter, they need to return a dividend to the government. So they are still operating on a partly public broadcaster using a private media model in their advertising. So they do need to still bring in the eyeball. That's why I wish we had gone down that conglomeration with RNZ and TVNZ and had the radio station and TV1 be more like BBC One and BBC One, Radio One, whatever it's called. That would have been much better for our democracy, in my opinion.
Faces and find our red blood spilt all over the floor, and that's what they will follow. I'll take, for instance, yesterday, Orini's speech, beautiful messages of resilience, a beautiful whakapapa of what brought her here as a raukura. None of that was picked up. What they've got is an investigation that the speaker wants to do on who led the haka, whether it was whatever, and he's not going to find anything. Overreaction, as far as I'm concerned. And then you've also got that particular issue continuing to make the headlines, and in actual fact,
but
the
is
reset
it, is it not
with the
continuing to be in the headlines because they continue to keep fighting amongst each other? They keep posting it on their socials.
Yeah, I think,
and your people are all digital natives, and so they're picking it up.
I think the thing that we do agree on is that there needs to be a healthy constitutional transformational discussion in Aotearoa. There needs to be, and actually I think all three of us agree on Mātiki Mai and being able to discuss, are we bicultural, are we multicultural? What does this mean for us in 2025? How does Te Tiriti apply to tangata tiriti, tangata whenua? Do we, and I think Mātiki Mai was going a really long way for that discussion. And I think that's what we all agree on. And unfortunately, and I've heard some of the framing, and that's what's been missed, because effectively, not a lot of our media understand that or support that. But that is something that all three parties in the coalition do agree on, is the investment in Mātiki Mai. The degree that we take it on, and I think this is where some of the tensions will be. Obviously, we want it to be out right at the front. Yeah, absolutely. And we believe the Greens do too.
And I think that's why Labour needs us. Was not about Mātiki Mai. And, even though it's spilled out into that, and that is a great discussion, Mātiki Mai, and it's a great document and everyone should read it. But that post was about Indians, Asians, Blacks and Pākehā campaigning in a Māori seat. Can you see how people were offended and there is mamai?
Absolutely we can.
Yeah. And your own speaker and your own supporters felt mamai?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, what we will try to do as leaders is maintain the authenticity of each other's voices without stifling, but also be really clear that the party is very direct on where it stands on tangata tiriti and tangata whenua. And I think at times individually, people are going to say, but the party was very clear where it stands.
How do you...
So, it's really nice to see the topics not being avoided. People would think...
That's what's different. I was sitting there going, why is this so good? And it's because the questions are being front-footed.
Yeah, and also
it shouldn't be unusual, but it is.
But remember, if you were listening to some right-wing pile of pancake batter right now, he'd be talking about Mihingarangi Forbes. Oh, she uses the wrong first name, Oliver, and it's publicly funded. This is straight up and down. Questions asked, questions answered. It's great, love it. And we'll go straight into this last bit before we talk about Mikey Sherman, because they do talk a bit more about the media. And I don't know if you know this or not, Troy, but those watching on Friday night will know what the kids had some fun with this. But I went back a little bit further, played a bit further back from what Magenta and Emily played on Friday night, and Debbie says something really, really lovely for us, right? For literally Chewy, you and me and Emily and Magenta. Debbie talks about that they still go on and they'll still talk to the media that matter. And just those words, and then if you haven't seen the clip, associating it with us, we get a name drop here, is actually really, really special. Getting mentioned in the media is not that big a deal, but something feels a bit different about this. That these guys see a sector of media as the media that matters. And this stupid ass little podcast is a part of that.
Each other.
My final comment on this is that the media has done so much harm to our people in the past.
Yep.
Stuff wouldn't have to apologize for the many, many years that they have demonized our people and framed us in a racially profiling manner. And so, of course, we are very protective of how the media treat us, because once it goes online, all you have to do is look through the comments and what it stirs and the unsafe space that particular media creates for our people. You just have to read the comments. And so, of course, we're going to be protective. We're going to be protective of our stories, and we want to make sure that Māori journalism is another one that needs to be invested in, because Māori need to be able to tell these stories in their own space, not Māori duplicating Pākehā media avenues, but in actual fact, Māori being able to tell our stories, because for far too long the media has hurt our people and continuously hurt our people, because you can see in the comments, even online now, there are some very, very vicious racist comments that have been made towards not just Debbie and I, but to our people. My kids have to read that. Your kids have to read that. And so we will be protective of our stories, and we will be, because it's tapu to us. Our kōrero is tapu, and so we will make sure.
That's a quite nice way to think about it. We will be protective of our stories. The things are sacred. They're a part of who they are. I think that's awesome.
That we continue to be the barrier for our people heading forward.
I think too, just on that, we determine, and so do our people, on which media matter too. This place here, the media think they're the be all and end all. Actually, we've been doing a lot of media. We've done BHN, we've done Wātia, we've done podcasts, we've done international, we've done Pacific, we've done a whole lot. We just haven't done these ones who think that they are the be all and end all.
Yeah. And look, I mean, as I said, getting mentioned in media is that should be happening to any media outlet often, right? But to have these guys talk about that they and their people will decide what the media that matters is, and to have Rawiri talk about, the media that holds on to their stories, and he's saying with honour, or in a sacred way. It's cool, man. It's cool. I actually messaged Debs after that, and I basically just said, cheers for the cheers for the shout out. And where is she? Where have you gone? So many messages. So many messages. There we go. She says, it's the truth. They're old school media obsolete. They get it. They get it. It's Pāti Māori get it. Not, I think that possibly maybe national, but certainly ACT get it. Possibly New Zealand First. I don't think Labour get it. And the Greens probably get it at the moment. We'll see what happens over the next 12 months. I'm going to play this a little bit shortly. I've got some ones to play about Mikey Sherman because it's a really interesting little dynamic. But Chewy, I've been talking lots and showing lots. That's all the clips we're going to play from Mata. Anything else?
We've talked about, I'm not sure if we did it on air, but certainly privately between you and me. We've talked about Te Pāti Māori being careful who they talk to and being protective. Like specifically, we're talking about Hana when that whole thing blew up, or we were obviously like everybody wanting to talk to Hana. And Te Pāti Māori were being very cautious about that, because I think even at that stage it was very, very clear that any media that she did, anything that she would be front-footed, she would be thrown to the fucking wolves.
Yeah. And
as much as I would have absolutely loved to have Hana on talking about that incredible moment, that was the right choice to make. When we've spoken so much about how politics and parliament has chewed up so many potentially amazing people leaders and that sort of thing, because they're exposed, and the way that people talk about them is just part and parcel with being a politician. I guess there's nothing we can do about it. It's refreshing to see someone protected.
Yeah.
And that's at our detriment. We would have loved to have her on the show, but it's still the right choice. And I think what Rawiri said there as well, of like, we are going to have our stories in our spaces. Innately, I can understand that as well. Like, Māori have always had to put their stories in the hands of, at best, a platform, a format that doesn't understand them. At worst, in an environment that doesn't like them.
Yep.
And we've still got a long ways to go there. So if they put their stories, as they put it, in their own space, then people that want to know that have to come into that space. That's a great way of looking at it. And I think it's the right thing to do. And I am, as well you are as well, Pat, absolutely chuffed to see us mentioned in that. That is trust that has been earned. So I'm very happy to see BHN mentioned in that. And that show that we did with Rawiri and Debs, that, as I said, just felt like four people sitting around a kitchen table putting the world to rights, is one of the shows that I'm most proud of. So I hope that's a big part of it.
And this is not the reason I do it. I don't think it's the reason we do it. We don't do it to get access. I have a philosophy that every interview we do, I'm more than happy to do it correctly if it means the person won't come back. In other words, I'm more than happy to ask any question if it's appropriate to ask, like if there's a reason for asking it. If it's going to offend them and they don't come back, that's fine, right? I'm not going to avoid questions. So we don't have a good relationship on air with these people for access, but the reality is what they have done with us, which is lovely to think about, is they consider us to be part of the media that matters, that treats their stories with sacredness. So what it's going to mean for next year is we will have access, because we're one of the locations that they trust with our story. Now, not to bring the tone down a bit, Chewy, we've been quite reserved, and I think, quite grown up about it. Now we should probably see how the Friday night guys handled this. Just to get a contrast. Just
talk about throwing people to the wolves.
Just to get the contrast. The contrast to the the old fellas versus the youngsters. Let's see how they responded to this.
We've been doing a lot of media. We've done BHN, we've done Wātia, we've done podcasts, we've done international, we've done Pacific, we've done a whole lot. We just haven't done these ones who think that they are the be all and end all.
Porini kaipara.
Oh yeah, we got mentioned before. Wātia. Yeah, what the fuck? Let's go.
Yeah.
Shout out fire. I know, right?
If they know we were saying.
Right.
I'm waiting for one line from Emily.
Not even Bomber. Not even Bomber's Bradbury group on Wātia. Just Wātia. Not even Bradbury group. Fuck you, Bomber.
That's the. I think that's. There's a slightly. There's a slightly different tone between the two shows.
I have never seen someone more in need of either an actual air horn or something that makes an air horn sound effect than Magenta did in that clip.
Yeah. That made me laugh so much. I'm absolutely cutting it and sending it to Bomber as well, because he needs to know. Right. Should we bring it back to Mikey Sherman or should we leave it there? I mean, I think it's interesting how they've responded to Mikey Sherman. It's only kind of 10 seconds worth of clips. Let's do it. We'll do this. Let's roll it. It's interesting. They were talking about the stand-up, right? The stand-up where they... sorry, I just got to clear the tears away from my eyes from laughing so hard. The stand-up... it's either that or I'm very, very emotional. It's the stand-up where Rawiri said, that's it, we're done, and walked off. They explain in this that they did that because one of the reasons were they wanted to focus on Orini's speech. They were coming on Mata the next night and they wanted to talk to Mihi about it first, about the conversations. And then when Mikey asked the question about dictatorship, they weren't going to talk about it. And then they said some things, and it sounds to me like they were saying it about Mikey. There's 3 clips here. I'm just going to manually skip through them so you can hear them. Here's the first one where Debbie's saying she's talking about me without me or something like that.
I'll speak for me, because that wahine Māori is talking about me without me. So first things first is that,
So that was the first bit she said, and then at 33:19.
It's a good line she just tossed casually into the mix there.
Then it sounds like they're talking about
on path. And we're not getting that respect back. There has to be a reciprocal relationship. So you're right, we want to be transparent. But, someone who wasn't even at, the person concerned wasn't even in the room where we had the reset discussion. So when Rawiri's he's not pulling me aside, he's protecting me.
So the person who wasn't in the room, it sounds like they're talking about Mikey again. And then there's one more at 39 seconds. Have a listen to this last one.
I'll do anything because I'd slap his ears. So, that's not our relationship. What he does, and he'll make sure that I get out there safely, because we have been badgered. We have, and I have been triggered. And I'm never triggered with media by the disrespect and this utu behaviour that it feels like this particular person's on. So I'm just going to put it out there that Rawiri would never, he's the least...
So the utu behaviour this person is on, utu is revenge, right? My understanding of utu. Talking, and it sounds like they're talking about Mike, and I'm just like, it sounded quite... Now, people who have seen the whole thing, I know I've just shown a few clips there. If I'm wrong, throw it out there. But it sounds like they've got quite a fraught relationship with Mikey Sherman as well. So, bizarre.
That's interesting. I don't know if I've really formed an opinion or noticed any sort of trends with Mikey. People in the chat have certainly been quite vocal about her, but yeah. That's an interesting one. But I think that's fair enough. Like the give and take between politicians and media is always a balancing act, right? The politicians need the media to get their message out there, and the media need politicians, otherwise they've got nothing to move. But I don't, again, it's one of those things where neither party really is owed anything. It's just finding that balance. If Mikey doesn't get anything out of Pāti Māori, then they'll find someone that will.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on because we've got one more topic which deserves an amount of time and focus on it, which is what's happening in Israel at the moment. And I was watching One News. I haven't seen the 3 News story, but we're going to watch 3 News tonight. It just feels like it's worth watching. It says at 6.5 minutes. We probably won't get to the whole thing. One News was showing at about 6:30 live some of the hostages going back. I believe all hostages are now back. I've been watching the headlines. There's a lot of celebrating going on. I have a hope that the celebrating all pans out, and that whoever is responsible, be it the UN, be it Donald Trump, be it whoever, be it the Red Cross, that this is a ceasefire which leads to an enduring peace. I have a hope for that. I don't feel a lot of confidence in that. And we'll get to more of that shortly. Let's have a look at the Sam Hayes and 3 News tonight.
There has been more joyful dancing on the streets of Israel and Gaza, celebrating the peace deal that has now been signed off by Israel's cabinet. Celebrations had been going on for around 24 hours when the sign-off came, but the final approval didn't come without one final fatal Israeli strike.
So why would you be why would you be in negotiations for a ceasefire and go, no, we haven't signed it yet, let's send a few more missiles? Like, it just, even that feels like in bad faith. You know, give it another 12 hours. And then if it hasn't worked out, then fire your missiles off.
One caveat on that. In the negotiations for the armistice at the end of World War I, after the agreement was signed, both sides were shelling each other right up to literally the minute that they all agreed to. So, yeah.
And you know, that's an interesting point, Chewy. At no point have these both sides been shelling each other at a similar sort of level.
Yeah, well, yes, yeah, very good point.
So if it was one side just continually shelling the other side, and the other guy's going, leave us alone, we're trying to sign a peace. You keep bumping my pen's trying to do the peace sign, and you keep bumping it. That would be different. So it does feel a bit different. We'll keep going. Yeah.
Phase 1 of the New Deal is now underway. That means 48 hostages still held by Hamas, living and dead, are to be released within 72 hours. In return, Israel will release just under 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. Now, during this time frame, Israeli troops should partially withdraw from Gaza to a
Can I just point out this difference in language that has always been there? The hostages that Hamas has, the prisoners that Israel has.
Yeah.
I would say that they're both hostages.
Yeah. And just to confirm in the middle of this, Guardian reporting all living captives now free, say Hamas as Trump due to address Knesset. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Latest updates. So I guess that means there are some second group of 13 hostages have been handed over to the Red Cross. Second group of 13 hostages, Israeli hostages, have been released by Hamas to the Red Cross, according to Israeli public radio. Back to the story. You okay with that, Joey? You got anything else to add?
Yeah, no, just media language.
Range line, but Israel will still control more than half of the territory. And crucially for civilians there, aid corridors are to be opened and will be overseen by the United Nations and the Red Crescent. And according to a senior American official, the US is sending 200 troops to be on the ground to monitor the implementation of the plan. Senior correspondent Lisette Raymer has more.
After years of the horizon being clouded by bombs,
A brighter future is emerging for the people of Gaza.
The streets of so many countries right now, they're just roaring with love and with praise for the people that did this.
The Israeli cabinet voted to ratify the ceasefire deal today, and
Sorry, we do just have to pause that for a second.
Historic moment.
This is what they're returning to, yeah?
Yeah, super good.
And now what? American contractors will make trillions rebuilding it. Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Which Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu acknowledged would not have been possible without Donald Trump.
You put in your brains and your hearts, and we know that it's
fuck off
for the benefit of Israel and the United
Jared
States.
Kushner sitting there.
Decent people everywhere.
The US President's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, attended the Israeli cabinet vote.
This all would not have been possible without the bravery of the IDF and the soldiers.
He and Trump's special envoy returned effusive praise to Netanyahu, a man the International Criminal Court has charged with war crimes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting actually, because I was thinking over the weekend, one of the reasons I'm filled with an amount of dread when it comes to the ceasefire is it feels like Netanyahu needs this war to continue. Because once it stops, he's then potentially up for facing war crimes. And I haven't done this yet, but I was going to message out today. I'm assuming we're all on the same page that every criminal act that was performed, is that the right word? Every criminal act that was perpetrated during this war, no matter who it was, should be prosecuted? Question mark.
Yep.
Every Hamas soldier that landed in the Israeli music festival, that should be prosecuted. Every Israeli soldier who shot people trying to get food and nothing else should be prosecuted. Perhaps every prime minister who set the parameters for a genocide to happen should be prosecuted. I'm assuming we're all on board for that. Are we all on board for that, Joey? I'm assuming we're all on board for that.
War crimes are war crimes.
Yeah. All right.
My president believes it. He believes that Prime Minister Netanyahu made some very, very difficult calls, and lesser people would not have made those calls.
Even today, as peace dawned, the decisions of life and death continued. The IDF claiming to have struck a Hamas terrorist cell in the final hours before the ceasefire.
It looks like a small terrorist, little small young one maybe.
This little boy pulled from the rubble.
Hey, look, I wonder. He must have been a terrorist for all 8 years of his life. Yeah, gosh.
Look, I wouldn't be surprised if the IDF calls him like a cell leader or one of the mission planners of Hamas.
Yeah, but he can't do it anymore because he's run out of his crayons. So the planning is no longer available.
Survived, but at least 30 others did not. The deal is a fragile one. Trump's 20-point plan is littered with unresolved issues. In particular, point 13, the demilitarization of Gaza. Point 16, Israel pledging not to occupy or annex Gaza. And point 9, that Gaza will be led by a temporary transitional government headed up by the US President and former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair.
There is, of course, questions of Tony Blair's credibility lingering on from his role and his leadership leading to the 2003 invasion of Iraq.
But the desire for...
Because that went so well. So he's got a good CV for this. This is why, Fano, I have an amount of dread in me. Like, I'm not trying to be dramatic and say, this can't work. It feels like you're building your house and you're using wood that is already warped because it's been out in the wet for too long. It's all bent. It might be rotting slightly. Yeah, you can build a framework with it, but it's a tenuous one at best and pretty easy to knock down. That's my concern.
Yeah. Two thoughts on this. Trump and Tony Blair, I assume the other two horsemen will be appointed at a later date. My other thing is, this is a massive, massive funnel for corruption. There is going to be so much money have its ticket clipped on the way to reconstructing Gaza. People are going to fucking make bank. Like, why are these technocratic, apolitical, great buzzwords? This is what the fucking UN is for. The UN should be overseeing this. The UN should be overseeing the feeding of starving people. The UN should be the ones that are appointed as peacekeepers to keep the peace.
Jared Kushner, of course, famous for building buildings like his father-in-law did. I wonder if he'll dip his toe into the trough, dip his nose, dip his beak into the trough of finance to help rebuild Gaza. I wonder if any of the people at the governmental level right now will be receiving monumental amounts of cash to help rebuild a broken world that they in part had a hand in causing.
Don't get me started on Jared fucking Kushner. I found out last week that he is he has bought EA Games, the owner of my favorite game franchise. So he's already in the dog box before he got involved in this whole Israel thing.
Sounds like you need to be banishing that game, isn't it?
Yes, as soon as he takes over, I'll never buy another EA product, to tell you that much.
And it sounds like much like SodaStream, that should be going away, should it? I'm just asking. I've got no opinion on them. Just asking. All right, let's keep going.
A permanent end to the suffering appears universal. A Hamas leader revealing today they accepted the deal based on assurances from America that this war will now be over for good.
People want to see this work. It's going to work. It's absolutely going to work.
A multinational...
I'd like to see the betting odds on that. This war will be over, quote unquote, for good. I don't want to sound like a ghoul, but I'd take that bet. You know, I just don't know how that's even.
Don't trust Trump
feasible.
to know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
I don't trust Israel to be scared of any consequences from the US if they break it. It just seems really uneven. Like when this got announced that it was actually happening, my first thought is whatever it takes to stop getting kids killed and people starve to death, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't trust this, but if it's happening and people get fed, good. Cautious optimism.
Yes.
But I don't trust anybody involved in this to stick to their word.
Yes. All right. Let's try and get to the end of this. It's got about 90 seconds to go because it'd be good to get the whole story.
National force of around 200 troops will be on the ground to help ensure that, monitoring the ceasefire and facilitating the flow of humanitarian aid.
170,000 metric tonnes, food, medicine and other supplies are in place.
Phase 1 will see aid enter and Israeli hostages exit. The clock tallying the days they have been in captivity is still ticking upwards in Tel Aviv's main square, but the countdown to their release is now finally also underway.
Thank you, President Trump.
The President of Peace, no longer just self-dubbed, awarded that honour by many on both sides of this conflict today.
I am screaming for happiness, absolutely happiness. Thank you, Trump.
Tonight, a Nobel Peace Prize could underline the President's achievement.
I don't know what they're going to do, really, but I know this, that nobody in history has solved 8 wars in a period.
Including
and
you.
Nobody has. No, you haven't.
Exactly right. Yeah.
9 months.
It is those who have endured the horrors of this war, though, who are most deserving. Not just of a gold medal, but of the
tanks firing on people coming back because there's been peace announced.
Just little things.
Just so you know.
Yeah, small things, yeah.
Ultimate peace prize. Freedom to live without the constant threat of death.
So, Yeah, it's funny, because I certainly don't want to be that guy who just puts it out there like, oh, it's not going to work, it can't work, but it hasn't worked so far. And we've had peace deals before, we've had handshakes before, we've had handshakes at the White House or Camp David? Camp David before. And kids getting fed, people going back to their land, people living in their homeland that them and their generations before them, I am for. And if almost anything can get us there, I'm pretty much okay with it. I can't say any means to an end. But I put it this way. Let's see if Trump blows it all up in his speech today when he takes all the credit for us and says something horrific about Hamas. I mean, this is going to be one of the worst speeches he has ever made. He has cognitively declined. His cankles can't hold him up for that long. I just think that I'm a fairly optimistic guy. Chewy, you know me. I'm a fairly optimistic person in life in general, but there's just too much around this that could go wrong that causes me to just hold off a little bit on that optimism.
It's tenuous, like any peace agreement is. Hey, we've often had comments that when we tackle a really heavy story right at the end with images of death, destruction and lies and people saying, yay, President Trump, the president of peace, stuff that makes you feel real queasy in your tum-tum, that we should finish with a palate cleanser. I've got one.
Cool.
I've got one. So this is something that I saw when I got home on the old Book of Faces. And I just think it's fucking cool. There's just an algorithm presentation to me. This page came up. Erica Sinclair Photography. And it's just these portraits of people with tāmoko. And it's one of those things that comes up when we talk about Māori culture and how it's valued. You would not get this anywhere else in the world. This is ours. This is something that is innately New Zealand. And I just think these are just stunning portraits. Like, even though as a Pākehā, this isn't my culture. This is something that I recognise as being from the place I call home.
But it is your country, and it is a part of your country's story. So it's a part of your story.
Like, I value this. I want to see more of it. Like, that's one of my favourites.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that one.
Obviously.
I just think about that dude actually in the middle of a battle running up a mountain. Be terrifying. It's their perfect look. It's fantastic.
But yes, that's the palette cleanser that I'm going to leave you with. Just excellent portraits.
All right, whānau. We won't hang around tonight because there's lots going on in the week. We'll be back tomorrow. I messaged... Actually, no, I won't say that. Doesn't matter. Here's my palette cleanser. There we go. There's my palette cleanser. Yeah, we're back for the show, back for the week, back tomorrow night. I'm away on Wednesday night. Ems is going to fill in though. I've checked in with HR and they're fine with that, so we can push that through. And I don't know, there's not too much else to add to the show. No, I don't think so. You're good. Anything else you want to wrap up?
Oh, there's one super chat we can't leave in the back. Right. Palestine right of return and full rights restored, including government by the people. War criminals tried at The Hague. No justice, no peace. Yeah, I think that's my whole thing. It seems very one-sided.
Yeah. But that's a good place to leave it. And I concur with all of those messages that's put up. All right, team. It has been a great show. Thank you for being with us tonight, team. Enjoyed having you with us, and we will look forward to seeing you again tomorrow night. Same bat channel, same bat time.
Help us settle it to be, whether it be thoughtful or funny.
Big thanks to all the people who came and joined out from the patrons on Saturday morning as well. It was lovely to see you all. Chewy, there's been a couple of people in the chat asking what's the name of that photographer again. What's the name of the Facebook channel?
Erica Sinclair Photography. I'll put it up on our Facebook page and in our Discord shortly.
Very good. All right, team. We'll catch you tomorrow night. Once again for the live edition of Big Hairy News. Hooroo!
Cheers, fam. No, Nella.